Salam sejahtera. So today we are going to discuss about 4.3, the inverse matrix. So previously we have been talking about the minor, cofactor, adjoint, or we can say the C transpose. And then after that, we talk about the determinant. So today we're going to use the prime knowledge to continue the discussion for inverse matrix. So basically, it's just a formula, okay, for the inverse matrix. So number one, you must remember the determinant of the matrix. Let's say in here we have matrix P. The determinant for the matrix P must be not equals to 0. Because if it is equals to 0, automatically there won't be a inverse matrix. So kindly take note. So given P, we have the matrix P and the Q. Fine. We have A, which is P multiplied with the Q, followed by the determinant of P. Next, we have the minor of P, followed by the adjoint of P. Next, we have the P inverse. So let's begin with the A, which is P multiplied with the Q. So basically, what we have been discussed before in 4.1, how to multiply the matrix P and Q. So remember the order 3 by 3, multiply with the 3 by 3, and then make sure it match. So means that the product will be 3 by 3. So by using the calculator, you may key in the P, key in the Q, and we will obtain 3 by 3 matrix, 3, 0, 0, 0, 3, 0, 0, 0, 3. If we simplify the situation, and we will have PQ is equals to 3 multiplied with the identity matrix. So normally, we represent the identity matrix with the I. So we can say PQ is equals to 3I. So that is the conclusion we can have for the question A. Next, we are going to look at the determinant of P, followed by minor of P, and then the adjoint of P and the inverse of P. So based on the previous discussion, what I'm trying to say is do not follow the order. Because if you want to find the determinant, actually it's redundant with the minor, and then the adjoint of P also redundant with the minor. So my suggestion is find the P. Find the minor of P before we moving forward to the adjoint and also the determinant of P. So here we have the frame for the minor. Okay, so kindly take note, we have to prepare with the frame. So next, focus on the P. So in here, M11 means that we have to close or eliminate the row 1 and column 1. So we have negative 1, 0, 0, 3. Next, proceed with the 1, 2. So eliminate the 1 and the column 2. So we have 2, negative 3, 0, and 3. So kindly repeat the process of finding the minor. So you may try, and then after that, check your answer with mine. Okay, so proceed. So we have 1, 3, which is 1, negative 1, negative 3, 0. Next, we have so here we have the minor. So the process of mining the minor. So kindly check your answer with mine. Okay, so let's begin. So here we have negative 3 minus. So we have 6 minus, 0 minus, 6 minus, and then 6 minus, and then 0 minus, 0 minus 0 minus negative 2 minus. Continue. So we will have 0. And after that, again, 0. Next, we have 3 followed by 0. Next, we have 9. Next, we have positive 6. Continue. 3. Next, we have positive 6. And then we have 4. So that is the process of finding the minor. So you may check your answer with mine. So in here, we have the minor. Negative 3, 6, negative 3, 6, negative 3, and then we have 6, negative 3, 6, negative 6. So that is what we call the minor. Next is to find the cofactor. So as we all know, in the cofactor, we have the formula. So do remember negative for 1, 2, and then 2, 1, and then 3, 2, and then 2, 3. So after you undergo the sign, we have the cofactor, where we have negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 6. So the rest, we have to multiply with the negative. So we have negative 6, negative 6, negative 6, negative 6. So here we have the cofactor, the minor. Next is to find the C transpose or the adjoint. So in here, C transpose is equals to the adjoint of the P. So C transpose or the adjoint would be, remember, transpose. The row for the cofactor become column. Next we have negative 3, negative 6, negative 3, followed by negative 6, negative 3, and then negative 6. Finally, negative 3, negative 6, negative 6. So repeat. Do remember, row become column. Row become column. Row become column. So that is the process of finding the adjoint of P. So refers to the situation, we already settled the PQ equals to 3i. The minor we have in here, and then the adjoint of P we have in here, C transpose. Next is to find the determinant of P. My suggestion is to select the second row. We have the formula A21 C21 plus A22 C22 plus A23 C23. The reason I'm selecting the second row because we have the 0. So the determinant of P is equals to A21, we have the 2, A22, we have the negative 1, and then A23, we have the 0. Next, focus on the C, which is the cofactor. C21, we have negative 6. C22, we have negative 3, and then plus 0. Multiply with anything, we can assume it is 0. So finally, simplify the situation. So P is equals to negative 12 plus with the 3. So the determinant for P is equals to negative 9. So do remember, no matter which column or which row you are selecting, the determinant will be always the same. So do remember, the meaning of determinant is that the meaning of determinant is not equals to the modulus of P. It is totally different. So indeterminate is just a number. So it can be positive and it can be negative. So the determinant does not mean it is a modulus of P. So kindly take note. So now we are going to discuss the P inverse. So basically the formula for P inverse or the inverse of P is equals to 1 over determinant of P multiplied with the adjoint of P. So that is the formula. So in here, the P inverse is equals to negative 1 over 9 multiplied with the C transpose, which is negative 3, negative 6, negative 3, negative 6, negative 3, negative 6, negative 3, negative 6, and negative 6. So do remember, simplify the situation. So we will have P inverse is equals to, we have the bracket, Okay, so 1 over 3 and then 2 over 3, 1 over 3, 2 over 3, 1 over 3, 2 over 3, 1 over 3, 2 over 3, and 2 over 3. So that will be the inverse for the matrix P. So here we have the situation, and that is the process of finding the PQ, the determinant of P, the minor of P, the adjoint of P, and finally the inverse for the matrix P. So not necessary for us to follow the order. So we can adjust the situation, then find the best solution for us in order to answer the questions. So this process, we call it adjoint method. So meaning that we have to find a minor, cofactor, adjoint of P, or we can say the C transpose, and then finally find the inverse for the matrix P. So I repeat, this is what we call the adjoint method, when we need to finding the minor, cofactor, and so on. Next, we are going to look at the second method, which is the deduce method. So for the deduce method, no need to find the minor, cofactor, and also the determinant. We can straightforward based on the situation to find the inverse. So now we have the second method, what we call the deduce method. So it is different from the previous one, which is the adjoint method. So deduce method, find the inverse of the matrix P. So given the matrix P and Q, and then what we have to do is to find the matrix for PQ. So before we further our discussion, so do remember, we need to understand some of the properties for the matrix. For example, given matrix A, if we multiply with the inverse, so we will have the identity matrix. Second one, A inverse multiply with the matrix A. Again, we will obtain the identity matrix as well. Number 3, matrix A multiply with any identity matrix. So we will obtain A. Finally, I multiply with any matrix A and we will obtain the matrix A. So this is the basic properties that we need to memorize or understand. So let's move on to the left hand side. We have the matrix P multiply with the matrix Q. So previously we already discussed in the question A. So PQ, which is equals to 3 0 0 0 3 0 0 0 3. Next, when we have this thing, we can simplify the situation, become PQ is equals to 3 identity. Why we say 3 identity? Because in here we can factor the 3 and we will obtain the identity matrix. That's why we said PQ is equals to 3I. Next, we are going to apply the deduce method. So in here, question asks us to find the inverse of P. So in order to find the inverse, try to make use of this situation, or we can say the properties. So these properties, what you have to do is to memorize it or try to understand it. So given the situation, PQ is equals to 3I. So kindly take note, we are very sensitive with, kindly take note, matrices are very sensitive with the order. So AB is not equals to BA. Same as well for this part, matrix P multiply with the matrix Q, the answer will be different for the matrix Q multiply with the matrix P. So order is important. So now the question asks us to find the P inverse. So our objective is to find the P inverse. So what we can do is to multiply the situation for both sides with the P inverse. So we have P inverse multiply with the PQ equals to, in here we have 3, because 3 is a scalar, it's not a matrix, so it doesn't matter for the order. So we only focus on the matrix. So for the left hand side as well, P inverse multiply with the I. So the order is in the front of the situation. Same for both sides. Next, kindly refers to this part. We have A inverse multiply with the A, we will obtain identity matrix. So same goes to this part. P inverse multiply with the P, we will obtain I. So here we have IQ equals to 3P inverse I. Next, focus on the situation where we have this one. I multiply with A, any matrix A. So we will obtain the matrix A. So same for this part. I multiply with Q, we will obtain Q equals to 3. Focus on this part as well. P inverse multiply with the I, again we will obtain the P inverse. So question asks us to find the P inverse. So in here, the P inverse is equals to 1 over 3 multiply with the matrix Q. So that is what we call the deduce method. So kindly substitute the Q into the situation. So P inverse is equals to 1 over 3 matrix Q. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. So simplify or expand the situation. So P inverse is equals to, we have 1 over 3, 2 over 3, 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 2 over 3. So you may refer to the previous situation and you notice that the P inverse for the adjoint method is the same for the deduce method. So that is how we find the inverse matrix for P. So this is the second method. We call it deduce method. So method number 3, we are going through the elementary row operation. The purpose is to find the inverse matrix of P. So now we are going through the method number 3, which is the elementary row operation, or we can say ERO. So the purpose is to find the inverse matrix. So kindly revise the situation. So just now we go through the adjoint method, which is using the minor cofactor and C transpose, which is the adjoint, to find the inverse matrix of P. Second method, we are using the identity. Second method, we are using the deduce method to find the inverse matrix of P. So the second method, deduce, we are making use of the properties for the identity and also the matrix A. So the third method is to use the elementary row operation. So kindly refers to the situation. So before we start, we must understand a certain rule. So we have 3 rules in here. Number 1 is the interchange to row. So for example, so in here we can write row 1 interchange with the row 2. Second one, we can say multiply one row by a non-zero scalar k. So k multiply with R1, or we can say k multiply with R2, or k multiply with R3. Number 3, adding one row with k times of another row. So for example, R1 plus with k R2, or we can say R2 plus with k R1, and etc. So later on, we are going through by using the rules for the ERO in order to find the inverse matrix of P. So first what we have to do is, we have the matrix P. So what we have to do is to insert the P and also the identity matrix into the augmented matrix. So for the left hand side, we have the matrix P. And for the right hand side, we have the matrix identity. So our objective is to make sure the left hand side become identity. So here is the sequence. Number 1, make sure this one become 1, the A11. Followed by 0. The second step. Third step. Next, step number 4. Make sure the 1 is located in the A22. Next, 0. Step number 6, 0. Step number 7, this one become 1, then 0, 0. So make sure everything for the left hand side, the matrix P become identity matrix. Then the result on the right, which is this part, will be our inverse matrix of P. So that will be the situation. So let's begin. So first, our focus is this one. Okay, so when we're dealing with the leading diagonal, make sure we are using the second rule, which is, we name it as KR1. So now we are make sure the 2 become 1. That's why I name it as row 1. Multiply with the K. So kindly substitute the situation. So in here, K multiply with the 2 must be equals to 1. So as I mentioned earlier, must be equals to 1. So here, K is equals to 1 over 2. Next, substitute this thing into the situation. So where we will have 1 over 2 R1. Next, what we have to do is to copy the row 2 and row 3. So we have been copied down the row 2 and row 3. Next is to multiply the row 1 with the formula. So here we will have 1. Next, we will have 1 as well, followed by negative 3 over 2. Next, we have 1 over 2, then 0, then 0. So that is the process of finding the A11 from 2 become 1. Next, we're going to focus this one. We have to make sure they become 0. So in order to make sure the thing becomes 0, so this one, we name it as row 2. So for the first column, if the row 2 and row 3 need to become 0, we must refer to the first row. So kindly make use of the third rule. Okay, third rule. R2 plus K R1, because this 2 is located in the first column, so must refer the row 1. So kindly substitute the situation. In here, we have row 2, which is equals to 2, plus K refers to the situation, we have row 1, so we need to substitute 1, and the objective is to make sure the A21 become 0. So rearrange the situation. So K is equals to negative 2. So that will be the situation. So kindly substitute the formula, okay, into that part. So in here, what we have to do is to make sure we copy the row 1. So now, let's begin. So in here, row 2, which is 2, minus 2, row 1. So the answer is equals to 0. That's why we fill up with 0. Next, row 2. We have negative 1 minus with the 2. Multiply with the 1. So we will have negative 3. So in here, we fill up negative 3. Next, 0 for row 2. Minus 2. Multiply with negative 3 over 2. So our answer become 3. So that will be the situation. So we fill up the 3. Continue. 0 minus 2 multiply with 1 over 2. So in here, we will obtain negative 1. So fill up the negative 1. Next, we have row 2, which is 1, minus the 2. Then the row 1, which is 0. So final answer will be equals to 1. Finally, we have row 2, 0, minus the 2, multiply with the row 1, which is 0. So answer is equals to 0. So basically, we are referring to this formula. So that is how we get our answer for the row 2. Next, what we have to do is to make sure the row 3 become 0. So name the situation. So name the situation. We have row 3 plus with k. Do remember the negative 3 is located in the first column, so must refers to row 1. So kindly substitute the situation. We have negative 3 plus k refers to row 1. We have 1 and then must be equals to 0. So k is equals to 3. So kindly substitute the formula. So here we have the formula. Next, kindly focus on this part. We have R3. So meaning that here we have negative 3 plus with 3 R1. So in here we have R1. So substitute and we will obtain 0. Continue. We have 0 plus with 3 R1. So in here the R1 is 1. So we will have the answer 3. Next, we have 3 plus 3 multiply with this one, which is the R1, negative 3 over 2, which is equals to, if you reverse to the calculator, and you will obtain negative 3 over 2. So meaning that 3 plus with, multiply with the 3, multiply with negative 3 over 2. So we will obtain negative 3 over 2. So write down the answer. Next, focus on these parts. 0 plus with 3 multiply with the row 1, which is 1 over 2. So answer become 3 over 2. So here we have 3 over 2. Continue. 0 plus with 3 multiply with the 0 because of R1. So we will obtain 0. Next, we have 1 plus with 3 multiply with the row 1. We will have 0. So the answer is equals to 1. So that is basically how we obtain the situation for row 3. So you may try, and at the same time, you check the answer with mine. So next, we are going to move on with the second column, which is this one. From the negative 3, we have to make sure it become 1. So next, our focus is on the negative 3, which is the A22. So this is the leading diagonal for the second column. So my advice is make use of the row 2. Okay, so the row 2 sounds like this. K R2. So kindly substitute the R2. So here we have K multiplied with the negative 3, and then the objective is to get 1 because of the leading diagonal. So our K will be equals to negative 1 over 3. So kindly substitute the formula. So in here, we will obtain negative 1 over 3 R2. So next, what we have to do is to copy the row 1 and the row 3 because these two rows won't change. So what we have to do is 0 multiply with the formula. We have 0. Next, negative 3, we will obtain 1. Next, we have negative 1 over 3 multiply with the 3. So we will obtain negative 1. Continue. We have negative 1 over 3 multiply with the negative 1. So we will obtain 1 over 3. Next, negative 1 over 3 multiply with the row 2. So here we have 1. Then we will obtain negative 1 over 3. Next, negative 1 over 3 multiply with the row 2, which is the 0. So we will obtain 0. So that is how we obtain the row 2. Next, we have to focus on this one, which is become 0. And then after that, the 3 also become 0. So do remember, in the second column, we have to refer to the leading diagonal, which is the row 2. So kindly refers to the highlighted part. The name is R1. The name is R1 plus with K. So do remember, it is located in the second column, so we must refer to R2. So kindly substitute. We have R1, which is the 1, plus with the K, multiply with the row 2. So in here, this is the row 2. So substitute 1 equals to, remember, objective is become 0. So we have K is equals to negative 1. So kindly substitute the formula. So we will have the situation R1 minus R2. So that will be the formula. Next, what we have to do is to copy the row 2, because for this situation, row 2 won't change. So kindly refers to the formula. So in here, we have row 1 minus the row 2. So we have 1. So in, we have 1. Next, row 1, we have 1 minus the row 2. We have 0. Continue. Row 1, negative 3 over 2 minus with the row 2. So where we have plus 1 equals to negative 1 over 2. So that will be the situation, negative 1 over 2. Next, we have row 1 minus we have row 2. So kindly refers to the calculator. 1 over 2 minus with 1 over 3. And we will obtain 1 over 6. Next, we have row 1, which is equals to 0 minus the row 2 plus 1 over 3. So answer will become 1 over 3. Next, 0, row 1 minus 0, row 2. So we will obtain 0. So that is the process how we determine the row 1. Next, what we have to do is to focus on this part. We want to make sure the 3 become 0. And then do remember, must refers to the row 2, because we are located in the second column. So kindly write down the formula. So in here we have row 3 plus K refers to row 2, because located in the second column. So kindly substitute. We have 3 plus with the K, then the row 1, the row 2, which is the 1. Objective is to get 0. So K is equals to negative 3. So kindly substitute the formula. So next what we have to do is to refer to this formula. So kindly refers to row 3. So here we have the row 3, which is the 0, minus 3, row 2, which is also equals to 0. So the answer is 0. Next, we have row 3. So 3 minus with the 3, multiply with the row 2, which is equals to 1, and the answer will become 0. Next, we have row 3, negative 3 over 2, minus with the 3, multiply with the row 2. So here we have negative 1, so it will become negative 3 over 2 plus with the 3. So kindly refers to the calculator, and we will have our answer 3 over 2. Next, we have row 3. 3 over 2 minus 3. Multiply with 1 over 3 because of row 2. So if we simplify the situation, we will have 3 over 2 minus 1. So our answer become 1 over 2. So that is the situation. Continue, we have 0 minus with 3 multiply with negative 1 over 3 because of R2. So simplify, 0 plus with the 1. So answer become 1. Finally, we have row 3, 1 minus 3 multiply with the row 2, which is the 0. So answer will become 1. So here is the process how we determine the row 3. Next, our focus would be the column 3, A33. We must make sure it become 1. So kindly apply the second row. So now is to make sure the A33 become 1. So kindly apply KR3. So substitute K multiply with 3 over 2 equals to 1. K will be equals to 2 over 3. So kindly substitute the formula. Next, kindly copy the situation for row number 1 and number 2 because in this part, row 3 won't change. So next, focus on this part. Multiply. Then we'll obtain 0. Again, 0. Then 3 over 2 multiply with 2 over 3. We will have 1. Next, this part, 2 over 3 multiply with 1 over 2. And we will obtain 1 over 3. Next, this part, we will obtain 2 over 3. Then next part, we will obtain 2 over 3. So that is the process of finding the row 3. Next, we are going to focus on this part. Make sure it becomes 0. But do remember, now we are located in the third column. We must refer to the R3. So focus on this part. Name R1 plus K must refers to R3 because located in the third column. Third column, R3. So kindly substitute. We have negative 1 over 2 plus K multiply with the R3. We have 1. Objective is to obtain 0. So K is equal to 1 over 2. So kindly substitute the formula. So here we have R1 plus 1 over 2, R3. So that will be the situation. So next, what we're going to do is to make sure substitute into the formula, this one. So copy the row 3. Copy the row 3. Because for this case, row 3 won't change. Next, we have R1, which is equals to 1 plus with 1 over 2, R3, we have 0. So equals to 1. Next, row 1, we have 0 plus with 1 over 2, R3, we have 0. So the answer is 0. Continue. R1, negative 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2 multiply with the R3, where we have 0. Continue. 1 over 6 plus 1 over 2 multiply with the R3. So here we have 1 over 3. So answer will be 2 over 6, which is 1 over 3. Continue. 1 over 3 plus with 1 over 2 multiply with 2 over 3. So we will obtain 3. So in here we will have 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3, which is 2 over 3. Next, we have 0 plus with 1 over 2 multiply with 2 over 3. And we will obtain 1 over 3. So that is how we looking for the row 1. Next, we have to focus on this part. Make sure the negative 1 become 0. Then do remember by referring to the row 3 because we are located in the third column. So next, focus on this part. name as row 2 plus k row 3 because third column row 3. So kindly substitute. We have -1 plus with k r1. Sorry, r3, which is the one. Objective is to get 0. So k is equals to 1. So kindly substitute the formula. So we have the formula R2 plus R3. Okay, R2 plus R3. So in here, we can write down 0, 1, and 0. Next, R2, 1 over 3 plus R3. We have 1 over 3, so answer is 2 over 3. Next, we have -1 over 3 plus 2 over 3. So answer is 1 over 3. Finally, R2, 0 plus R3, 2 over 3. So answer is 2 over 3. So notice that here already become identity matrix. So this will be the P inverse. So with that, we can copy the situation and that will be the answer or the way how we find the P inverse. So you may refer to the situation in the adjoint method, deduce method, and ERO. We are focusing on one problem, which is finding the P inverse. And the answer is the same. So whenever it is, do remember when you refer to the question, make sure you understand the question and follow the order or the situation or the method stated in the question. So number 1, we have adjoint method, which is finding the minor, cofactor, and C transpose, and also the determinant. Second one is by using the deduce method. So what we have to do is to make use of the formula or properties for the identity. Number 3, the ERO method. So here we have the situation, and do remember, refer and follow the process. So this is the method how we determine the inverse matrix for P.